Erdenet is the third largest city in Mongolia, with a population of around 100,000 people, and is famous for having the fourth largest copper mine in the world. Actually, Erdenet literally translates to treasure in English, referring to the rich mineral deposits located around the city. The USSR and Mongolian governments established a joint venture mining corporation in 1978 in order to mine the deposits in the Erdenet region. Between this date and the early 90s, Soviet citizens accounted for over half of the city's population. Consequently, there was a strong Soviet influence in every facet of life, and the presence of socialist-era relics such as mosaics and murals serve as a reminder of this past. The best mosaic in the city, and in my opinion, the second best mosaic in the country after the one in Zaysan, is located inside one of the administrative buildings within the mine site. The mosaic set is comprised of 7 pieces and was completed in 1980 by a team of Mongolian and Soviet artists. The first mosaic shows a Czech geologist discovering copper during explorations in the early 1960s. The initial exploration was indeed conducted by Czech specialists. However, they were recalled in 1968 after the so-called Prague Spring protests, and the Soviets took over the job. Next, we can observe Soviet and Mongolian surveyors making the initial plans to build a mining operation. This mosaic depicts mining workers migrating from different parts of Mongolia and the USSR to Erdenet. The following mosaic shows mining workers welding and drilling, and also has a clock set in the middle. It's actually the first mosaic that employees see as they enter the building. This next piece represents the friendship between Mongolian and Soviet workers, and by extension, between the two peoples and countries. Moving on, we can see more mining equipment, a Belarusian Belaz dump truck in the center, the period table symbols for copper and molybdenum, CuMo, at the bottom. Also, we can see 2 laboratory workers running tests on the right. This mosaic depicts Russians and Mongolians, each in traditional dress, playing their traditional instruments. You can see the Russian man playing the balalaika and the Mongolian man playing the horse fiddle. Also, we see representations of the Erdenet mine building on the right and the Erdenet city landmarks on the left. The final mosaic in the set shows Mongolian and Soviet cosmonauts Jugder-Demin Gurakcha and Vladimir Dzhanibekov. On March 22, 1981, both were launched into space from the Baikonur Cosmodrome in Kazakhstan and spent nearly 8 days carrying out scientific experiments on the Soviet space station Salyut 6, which is also represented just under both cosmonauts. On one of the side walls of the sports complex in the center of town is a mosaic made in 1978 representing all members of a family striving for sporting and in particular Olympic success. Sport is written in French, as French is the official language of the Olympics. After all, the founder of the Olympics, Pierre de Coubertin, was French. Moving on to one of the most famous mosaics in Erdenet, the Karl Marx mosaic, which was made in 1982. Under Karl Marx's portrait, we can read, "Marx's teachings are powerful because they are true. followed by Lenin's signature. A stone's throw away from the Karl Marx mosaic is the metal frame profile portrait of Lenin, also made in 1982. The Soviet craftsmen who built it originally installed lights on the edges of the frame, which were switched on at night. However, these have since been removed and Lenin's portrait no longer illuminates the surrounding neighborhood. Next, we see an unusual mosaic made in 1988 depicting Chinggis Khan. It's unusual because in the Socialist era, the Mongol Empire and everything associated with it was certainly not celebrated. This mural, painted in 1989, is propaganda from the Social Democratic Party and displays the message, "Democracy and human rights. We believe in the savviness of the Mongolian people." Basically telling people that if you have any common sense, you should support the Social Democrats.